And man, the thing shot down the road like a maniac to that right there, a 221 at 65 miles per hour. Are you a believer in Castle yet? I think I am. Well guys, winter is coming, and before we end our season here in a couple months, Ohio weather stinks, and we start racing these buggies behind me indoors. Hope you stick around for that. We're gonna switch out to this. Oh, wait a minute, not this. We're actually gonna switch out to this. This is the Castle Mamba Monster 8S ESC. Let's talk about it right now on the channel. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorky and 40 channel. I am Chad. Yeah, we're gonna pull that DRK and that 3.5 turn out of the breakout chassis, and we are gonna put in the Mamba Monster 8S and a 2.5 turn Trinity whole shot motor. We're going all out. We tried the RX-8 with the M17. It was going good, but I really wanted to just focus on the breakout car, get it dialed in, get it going good with something that I know. DRK was it. I achieved my best times ever, and now it's time to tear it all apart and start working on something else for all of us. A couple weeks ago on the TSR podcast, Mark Vine said that he was experimenting with the Castle versus the RX-8. He wasn't 100% sold on it yet, and that's fine. If I don't like this, it doesn't work out for drag, then we can always throw it into something like a limitless or an infraction, and that'll be crazy. So if we take a look at a bench here, the apparent size difference is just kind of blows out at your mind. So this is designed to run things like this, and this is designed to run things like this. Now, actuality, it's really not that much bigger. RX-8 developed for 8 scale cars. This is more like a 5th scale. You can see just huge wires, real huge Castle cat pack that's on there. A lot of people change out to like big connectors and everything, but since we're just running our small power compared to this, we're just gonna be running with the XT90s. Castle Link to hook up some of the best data and graphs that you can just imagine that will help us really push the power to this thing. The Mamba Monster 8S is one of their newest ESCs. It has some of their best technology ever built into it as far as keeping things cool, which we know that less heat equals better voltage, equals less voltage sag, more RPMs, all that good stuff. So that's the hope that we're gonna see. Now, of course, there's gonna be a huge learning curve, but we're gonna have that awesome logging using the actual Castle Link. Hooking up to the computer, we're going to be able to see really awesome data logs. I've seen what this stuff can do in the past with crawlers and stuff that I use it on. I've been watching some of the real fast limitless type of guys and the logging that they get using the Castle. So that is going to be a huge advantage over the RX-8. The Tekin logging was just terrible in my opinion. Really hard and difficult for me to use. I know you only needed to look at like a couple things, but when I compared it to like the McLaren data logging, it was like night and day. I think Castle is kind of the best of both worlds. It's not as easy as the McLaren, but it will have a lot more information. It'll even show us how many amps that we're actually pulling, which will be really awesome to see when it comes to compared batteries and which batteries are able to deliver power. See if one's worse than the other. That's also another tool that we're going to have to help find gearing, because not only will we be looking at RPMs and voltage, but we'll also be able to see what gearing is pulling what amount of amperage. So that way, if we have too much gear, we're pulling too many amps, or vice versa. We'll be able to find that perfect mix. I've actually already had this installed in the breakout chassis once and pulled it out a couple weeks ago. So I know everything fits. It's a tight fit, you know. It's like at least 2.5 to 3 times bigger than the DRK that's in it right now. And it's gonna be kind of in a weird position as far as getting this cat pack in line and everything like that. But you know, we'll make do. It'll be just fine. I could always put it up on the elevated ESC tray, but I don't think that's what I'm going to do. When it comes to installing this, there's really nothing different, so I'm not going to really show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there, throw in the 2.5 turn motor, and if there's any little things, little gotchas, I will show you guys here on the bench. The biggest thing that I see is that this thing is made to use with actual bullet connectors on the inside, but you can actually just solder wires inside those cups. That's what I'm going to do. Gonna be using, I believe, 12 gauge wire. I bought some 10, it's a little too thick. Don't really think we need 10 gauge power for our purposes. So we'll move it down to 12 so it'll be a little bit easier and a little bit more flexible. And we'll get it all hooked up and then we'll start getting this baby calibrated. So let's do it. Okay, so she's in there and you can see that it is a pretty big ESC. We still got enough room for the battery. Not 100% sure what I want to do with this cap pack, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it the way it is right now. Eventually I would kind of like to move it to another position on the car, but we're gonna run it like this. We got the 2.5 turn Trinity hole shot in there, and we're gonna start off on 90/17 gearing and see what that gets us. Now I've already calibrated everything to the ESC and I've hooked up to the Castle. Castle Link is available in a wireless adapter or the more popular little USB adapter here. And what this does is allow us to hook up to the ESC, pull our data, and of course do all of the configurations. Now this hooks into the actual ESC itself with the servo connection. So what you'll have to do is you have to put a little extension plug in there so you can plug and unplug from your receiver. So to hook up to the Castle Link, gonna have the software fired up on the computer, and we're just gonna match up everything here. All right, so we're hooked up in the car, and you can see that I've automatically corrected. This is a 1/6 scale, not 1/5. And this is the Castle Link software. Inside here, you can do your firmware updates, everything like that. This I went through and set stuff up already. Set up my voltage cutoff. This is all your basic connections and setups here. Your power. This is kind of like where you can set up your throttle powers for full, reverse, punch, and your start power. Kind of going off some recommendations that I've seen, and also they give you really good explanations of everything when you click on the little question marks, which is really sweet. The most important thing though that we're going to talk about is the motor power. Now, the reason why a lot of people haven't used Castle in the past is they haven't made, at least to my knowledge, a large enough ESC for our application that is fully censored. This one is. So you could run this in two different ways. You could run this with the Smart Sense technology, which is basically like Tekin, where it will start in a censored mode to get you out of the hole, and then it'll switch into a sensorless mode for the rest of the run and apply a fixed degree of timing. So now you can run this baby in fully censored mode, and what they have is called cheat mode. This allows you to do basically what the Tekin does in a fully censored application. Now it gives you a lot of warnings saying that it could generate motor heat and all kinds of problems like that, but I think they're kind of really gearing that towards people that are running these in huge cars like Limitlesses and Fractions, things like that. Not sure we're going to have to deal with any of these warnings with our drag cars from what I have seen. Kind of like the Tekin RX-8, you're going to select a activation range of your timing. So right now I'm just going to take it easy and start off with 10 degrees. You can go all the way up to 45 degrees of added timing, and then you can set yourself an RPM range. Now my RPM range, you typically, let's say I make 75, 80,000 RPMs. I want my timing to finish about 10 to 15,000 RPMs before that most of the time, so it's generating force and power all the way through most of the run, but then I've got the momentum and everything else to carry me throughout the end. Still working on that, seeing what works the best. Obviously, we're going to be adding more timing to this, I'm sure, but we're just going to start here. So I selected a range of 6,600 RPMs to 5,630 RPMs, and that's with the custom range over here. And you can see it gives you some predefined selections. You don't actually get to choose what numbers you want. Then you've got independent throttle curves, brake curves. This is where you update your software. And of course, this is logging, where you can say what stuff you want logged, what kind of a data rate you want logged at. So the more samples per second, the more accurate your data, things like that. Gonna go ahead and clear this log because since I've had it powered on, it's been logging a little bit. We're pretty much all set up and ready to go. So we'll need to take our laptop with us to the field A lot of people say the B-Link doesn't work very well, but we'll see how everything goes. All right, out here with the first runs with the breakout and the castle. Keep in mind, we only got 10 degrees of timing in here. Things probably couldn't have went worse. Playing around with my first run, I smacked a curb and broke the bumper. So we're only running 3 body posts, so that sucks. Then I spelt my naphtha all over the place, so that sucks. But we've been able to get a couple runs. Second run there, 2.5 at 57, and that was with a dual rate of 85, so we're only putting 85% power into it. Pretty happy. Saw the first run. That's awesome. Looking at the logs, we'll take a look at those after we make some runs. Pulled like 252 amps. Cool looking, and seeing all that different data that you're getting with the castle. Everything seems really smooth as far as how the car is running. Combining that with the M17 and the ramping and everything. So we're gonna do another run now, and now I've got still got only 10 degrees of timing in it, and we're gonna run our dual rate up to 90 and see what we can do, try to crack into the 2.4s. Hit down to 2.41 at 58. She's not the fastest, but she's picking up time for sure. It's just such a nice smooth run, even without half of a body or half of a bumper, however you want to say it. You can see what we're missing up here, but yeah, everything's great. That wasn't even on a fully charged battery, so we're going to go ahead and charge this baby up again and go ahead and increase the radio again. I'm running a pretty slow ramp. I'm only running a ramp at 96, so we're going to go ahead and bump up that dual rate a couple more points, just going a little bit at a time and seeing if we can just get out of it what we're doing with the radio. Again, we're only at 10 degrees timing in the castle, so we're doing pretty good. .42 at 62. .64. All right, so for this last run, we're going 100% EPA now. Still have a really nice slow ramp, so it should just take the power, I hope, and be completely smooth again. And you know, smooth equals time. Let's see if we can break into the 2.2s. That was fast. How fast was it? Very highly anticipating this. Oh, I'm gonna have to take my phone over to it. Shit. Read. Oh, it's a 231. Ah, damn it. That's 66 miles per hour. All right, so the last run, we put the ramp to 95 instead of 96. We've been playing at 96 all night, getting 2.3s at 22 degrees of timing. So I wanted to see if it would hold a So I wanted to see if it would hold a 95 ramp, which we know is a lot more aggressive. And man, the thing shot down the road like a maniac to that right there, a 221 at 65 miles per hour. Are you a believer in Castle yet? I think I am. Well, to say I'm ecstatic about the times that I ran tonight would just be a complete understatement. I think you saw from some of that running video. The best thing though is coming home and looking at all of this data and just seeing what mistakes I made or some things that I probably should have done. So let's take a look at the data that I collected tonight. This will be the first time I'm kind of going through the Castle logs. The best thing I could just tell you about this whole experience is there really wasn't any crazy tuning or nothing that went into this. The car was busted up, you saw that. I ran on 2 or 3 hits on the batteries and still ran faster. We're running nowhere near the amount of timing in the ESC that it is even possible. Motor temps are like nothing, except for my last huge run that I had. You're going to see that the voltage was insignificant because the ESC just is able to deliver, it's just able to handle the power. Like, it's just a night and day difference compared to something that's smaller. I can't believe there's such a difference between actually this and the RX-8. The ESC was never hot. The motor was never hot. Nothing at all. I've ran this exact same motor and pinion and everything and never was able to get this kind of speed or power out of it. And I'm just excited to see what else I can do with it. So let's take a look at some of the logs real quick and just show you how cool those are, and then we'll wrap everything up for this. So here's the complete log from all of my sessions tonight. So this is really awesome. You can see we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not going to count this last hit here because it was just kind of a half, you know, let's just do it again, even though you could see if you look at these peaks, like that's basically, you could see how we were peaking out in power as we raised our dual rate. That's the actual power output. Give you some color references. Red is the voltage, green is the amount of current, and RPMs is kind of like this purple. So let's just take a look here at the first run. To zoom in, you basically just click here, and then we're gonna drag all the way down. So top to bottom, left to right. And here's our run. And now we can do that one more time so we can get an even better view of what's going on. So on this hit here, you can take a look. We maxed out at 256 amps. I love seeing the amps. Motor temp got to 85 degrees. We made 62,000 RPMs. Our minimum voltage was 7.5, max with ripple 9.1, average is 8.2. So started the hit right here. Boom, you can see right there, it's automatically taking us right to my 25 point, which I have set up in my Sanwa. So you can see that that's kind of where everything just kind of hits. All these lines intersect. We've got the current intersecting and then gradually increasing. We've got the power, we've got the throttle, and then you can see the voltage actually going down there as well. But then voltage, the top red line, recovering, going down to a minimum right there of the 7.5. So let's take a look at the ramp. So that's going to be, we'll look at the RPMs and the power output. So if you look down here, my maximum power output was 85. So I'm running 85% only dual rate with the Sanwa M17. So we're just going. Right up here is where we hit 85. And you can just see our RPM curve in purple just kind of bending up nicely and everything until it peaks out there at 62,000. We can see the voltage kind of dipping and recovering and doing its thing. So this is a great log. We've got all kinds of great data here. We can see exactly where we pulled our throttle to. We can see all of the divisions in the 25 point launch and then nice ramp up. We see the RPMs ramping up. We don't see any kind of jagged maneuvers in the RPM, so we're not doing any kind of spinning or anything like that at all. Everything is just great. Now if we unzoom and let's go, I think here, this log right here was one of our 2.3 hits. And this is really interesting here too, because you can see my max power output was only 96.9. So basically that means I was a little hesitant and I didn't pull full trigger on it. And you know, it's funny how it all just shows up. If we look at our voltage, our minimum voltage was a 7.5, our average was 8.2. We made over 301 amps, 75, almost 75,000 RPMs. And again, we go to right there, power output 23.5, whatever. That's kind of like our our ramp right there for actually, or is that right there? Trying to figure that out. Nope, that's it right there. See the power output in the blue changing, and then we can see it ramping here. So it's a little bit different looking of a ramp on this one. And if we look at the RPMs, you know, you can kind of see that's the purple line right here that the cursor's on. So we're going up, we're going up, we're going up. And when we hit 100% throttle here, you can see we kind of just falter out here at the end. So we, you know, why did we falter out? I'm really not sure. We can see that we got a high voltage there, and then the voltage dipped down into the very end. We just basically ran out of something, and maybe it was because I didn't pull 100%. I only pulled 96.9%. Now, if we go to the last hit of the night, which was the 221 run. Now, this was when I cranked the ramp up to 95 instead of 96. So the lower the number on the sand wall, well, it's kind of reverse, whatever. But that's basically how we got our ramp. You can see how bad the battery voltage got hit. In fact, what did we start at? We started at an 8.3, so we might not have had a full battery. But you could definitely see that the ramp itself was way steeper. So our actual, let's see where we get to our 25%. So you can see how adjusting that ramp squeezed that 25% and just hit everything just a lot harder. Like you can't even actually see the deviation in this blue line like we could in the logs before. And then it's just ramping and ramping and ramping. And then it kind of got to a point here where we're pulling 352 amps that the battery was just like, oh, I can't handle it anymore. And it, you know, pooped out to there. We see the RPM curve right here in the purple quit going up so much and just kind of, you know, stall out and go. It's still going up good. We see our voltage coming down here and recovering with the red. We see the current going down because we're not, you know, we're kind of coasting along now, and the ESC's happy. And yeah, we make a max of 76,467 RPMs. So guys, I'm happy. There's just so much more to do with this. I'm super excited. This ESC is just, it's just awesome. And it feels good to finally have a car that's this fast. So I actually even gave us some love when I came home and started cleaning it all up, and even already replaced that bumper. So how about that? Anyway, there's gonna be more coming with this, guys. So stick around on the channel here. Thanks for everything you do, and peace.